Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
What's going on? We're back this week with your Survivor News, covering Survivor Season 47, Episode 12. An episode to talk about if there ever was an episode to talk about. So, of course, I have the first merge boot from Winners at War when DZ Holland was popping with you.
I'm more than the first merge boot, but I'll take it. How you doing, Perp?
You're the first merge boot, but it's cool. And we have the star of Netflix, The Circle Season 2, and the floor is lava. He might not be in LA. He's in the same time zone, even though the time that is in LA is the same time that is in this time zone. We've got Jack Atkins. What's popping?
What's up? I'm not gonna get into the time zone debate. It's an old debate between us. This pale Orlando light is flooding in on me, and I think I realized I need to go sit in the sun for a little bit. But really excited to talk about the episode before I do that. So.
Well, with an episode like this, I feel like we have to get somebody that not only can relate, but is a legend in their own right. Let's welcome Survivor Season 45, the legend, baby girl, Jake, back to the podcast. What's going on, Jake?
I'm just happy that I have this ring light and Jackie's so much more pale than me right now. You know,
yeah. I think that's how I know that it's getting bad. Yeah, it's
when someone in Boston has more color than you.
Yeah.
And speaking of Boston, Bryce and Wynn, we were just in Boston for Tour 47 last Wednesday. Jake was there. The building, the energy was amazing. Jake was a crowd pleaser, if I do say so myself. Okay. Jake was all over the place. Everybody wanted a piece of Jake. Yeah. Boston was absolutely amazing. So much fun. It was cold as I don't know what in Boston, but we had an amazing time. We had the mole winner. We had some Real World MTV. We had the Squid Games. We had Survivor Quebec. We had Survivor Big Brother. The who?
Amazing Race was in the building.
Oh, Amazing Race. Amazing Race. Yeah. Oh, Mary and Chris. Yeah. Boston definitely did not disappoint. We had a time in Boston.
It was great. It was so much fun. We had the group with the games. What's the name of their company? They brought a bunch of Survivor games, and we were actually we were competing in life-size Survivor games at our event. So it was dope. I think it's Underground. We will get the proper name and give them the right shout out.
I gotta look her up. I follow her on Instagram. We'll say that name, but she does events around the city every once in a while, and people can rent her stuff for parties. And she's got a bunch of those classic Survivor challenges that I did out there. So it's cool. It's cool to revisit them.
Yeah, it was so much.
Their Instagram account is Boston Underground Games, and they bring legit games to you. So if you're in that area, yeah, they had the snake puzzle. It's 8 feet tall, and they were really maneuvering the ball all the way up. Yeah. It was legit.
Jeez.
It was crazy. They had the immunity challenge where you had to spell immunity and rope it back. I was doing good until I realized I ain't spell immunity right. But I mean,
we could have predicted that one, Bryce. They also had the Michelle Fitzgerald tower that she kicked over after she did it. Yeah, they had some good ones. So thank you to Boston Underground Games. Thank y'all so much for coming.
Absolutely, Jack. The posse was in the building. The posse wanted me to relay a message to you. 2 things. One person said they wanted to know, did you make the biscuits from scratch or were they out of a can?
They're out the can.
Okay.
I don't think I even hit that last week.
We saw that. And a posse member named Peyton said, she don't know who is yelling at us, but they love the beginning of us just talking ish before we warm up into Survivor. So I just had to report that. Yeah. And Jack, where are you?
I'm in Orlando, Florida.
What's going on?
I'm at the Over the Edge reality charity event, raising money for a good cause. A bunch of other reality stars out here. It's an event I've been to a lot, and it's a little bit different this year, but it's been fun so far. I got some great roommates. I'm with Xander and I'm with Joseph Abden from Big Brother. And
do they need a third roommate?
I'm the third roommate, but I don't know. Maybe you could be the fourth. But, yeah, just we had a fun night last night, and excited to see after this podcast where the day takes me. But we're doing all right. Beautiful Orlando, Florida. So.
Yeah. Jake, we haven't talked to you in a while. What's going on with you before we dive into the episode?
Boston's cold right now, as you kind of started out the thing, and that's miserable. But I'm not in grandma's house anymore, so that's pretty cool.
You left the attic?
I left the attic. I got, not a twin size bed, so that's cool. But like I still got my little pink lamp back there to remember the aesthetic,
Never forget. You can never forget where you came from.
He upgraded. Well, our boy done upgraded.
We have an episode to get into, and before we started off, I don't know if I'm going out on a limb, but I really feel like this was the best episode of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This is a top tier episode for the era. Top tier.
Yeah, I agree. Hold on. What was that? Did y'all hear that?
Is that an alien?
No.
Who's at the door, Bryce?
Is somebody at the door?
Whoa, look who's still in the game making a big move. Genevieve, Jackery.
Well, hold on. I'm still stand on my.
I'm sorry. I took a lot of heat. I was told that, you're not supposed to play the game. You're not supposed to make moves. You're not supposed to target people that wanted you out the game. However, she did it, and she made one of the biggest moves in the new era the next week. Now, will she go on to win the game? We do not know, but how you play the game is you play to win the game. And the way your path may be different for everybody, but Genevieve is playing to win the game. And she's not making big moves just to make them. She's making big moves to put her in a situation where when she gets to the end, there will be no doubt. Because if she makes it to the end, when you give her that $1 million, Jackery?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, I can respect. Here's the thing, James. My whole argument was that when we discussed Jake, this dates back to Genevieve targeting Saul, which I said in the moment was a bad move. But I also said she's a good enough player that she could still recover and navigate and potentially get to the end and win. And I think all of those things that I said still hold true, where we saw in the weeks following the Saul boot, Genevieve was in a really bad position that she probably wouldn't have been in had she not made that move. But like we said, she's a good enough player where she's been able to recover and is now back in a potentially good spot. I also think she's still got a big enough target that she's, I think she's a dark horse to win, but I don't think her odds are looking great necessarily. So, James, I agree with you on like the quality of Genevieve's gameplay, but I maintain that her getting rid of Saul put her game in a whirlwind that it didn't need to be in. So I'm gonna stand my ground, James.
Now, now we can debate the Saul vote. I personally think when someone puts your name down on parchment, you have to remember that because they wanted you out of the game.
I don't think Saul voted for Genevieve, did he? Didn't he vote for he voted for
Genevieve? All right, I think this is the one thing, and Jake, back me up, maybe back me up. I think sometimes we're like, someone's not on your side. They are not you, right? So at the end of the day, whether it's kind of like if they're doing a split vote, if someone's like, "Oh, I didn't put your name down," well, you were going to split the votes on me to send me home. Like this is like you have to understand. Saul wanted Genevieve out that first vote. She wanted him out. He went out. She made the move. And what I would like to say is, Jack, I'm joking with you though, but your mind is really sharp for the game. I would just say this though. I think the one thing about this, and I'm going to get off after this, is that it's hard to make votes out there. it's hard to create those votes out there. And I think this episode just kind of showed how hard it is to create a vote. Where you had a secure 4. One thing goes wrong and everything goes poof. And tough game, great episode. Jake, my guy.
What's up, James?
I just came in firing. I was excited to hop on and talk to you guys. I'll shut it down a little bit now.
Hey, I respect it because I talk my ish. So the more Genevieve recovers, it's a good look for you. So I can respect you getting in here and defending yourself because I wasn't trying to fire shots and not have them come back my way if they're warranted. So,
so the position is defending the solve. We're on opposite sides of the solve vote, from what I understand.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I agree that like you always got to keep one eye on someone if they've written your name down. But like where there's such a large, I don't know if I agree with the solve vote. Obviously, Genevieve's doing great, and everyone's got to commend her for the mastery of that move the other day. But I feel like one of Genevieve's problems is she's beating herself up a lot. I think she's worried, and like it's been beautiful to watch her in confessional be like, I'm keeping people's at arm's length because I can't deal with that, and we've never seen it expressed so eloquently as when Genevieve is talking about that and vote people out. But I do think that she has the ability to make these really good relationships and make people feel comfortable. I don't think there would have been a toss-up the past couple of weeks with her in it. Like, I think she would be in Final Six, no problem. Like, she would have a much easier time to the Final Six had this all move not happened. Because I feel like people were always going to go after Gabe and Kyle. And then potentially people are going to go after Saul before her if she had the better social game, which we've kind of seen to be true. I don't know if I agree with the Saul vote. I'm really interested for Genevieve's exit interviews whenever that happens.
I mean,
I think it's really interesting. I agree with what you're saying. Yes, he wrote your name down on, what was that, the third tribal at the Asia vote? But it's been a long time, and there's a lot of new people who haven't even had the opportunity to write your name down. You know what I mean?
I just have a couple of questions. Between Teeny and Saul, where did Genevieve rank?
Between Teeny and Saul?
Yeah,
the highest.
Yes.
So at the same time, you're at the bottom with these two people.
I was gonna say a wise man once
has shown her to be at the bottom. I understand with those three people, she's at the bottom. But if I'm on the outside looking in, like you're gonna go after the head, you're gonna go after Teeny or Saul because I got a better relationship with Genevieve. You're not viewing her as like, look, she's done great and she's gotten to where she is. But I think defensively for the past 3 weeks, she's been more of a target than she's had to be.
Yeah, and I agree. And I agree, but I don't think taking out Saul was the wrong move. I think afterwards targeting Gabe was the kind of miscalculation in the game there, where if she got with the Tukus, those 5 people, you have a majority going in, and then you still have the bigger targets in front of you. That's where I feel like the slip up was in the kind of the strategy for Genevieve. However, she recovered beautifully. And, everybody's to find their path forward to the end. And everybody's path forward to the end is different each season as the season goes on. And let's kudos to Andy, kudos to Sam for these moves. And I'll let you get back to it. I just came in to say, love the vibe. Keep doing your thing. Jake, good to see you. Wendell,
good to see you, man.
Looking good over there. Bryce in a full studio. Love to see it. Jackery, I feel like you got to get your background game together.
I'm at a hotel.
All right. Cool beans. Love you guys. Anything else?
Is he leaving us?
He is leaving us. He just wanted to pop on to pop off at Jack.
He came in hot too.
He came in
I wanted
very
to come
hot.
to slide like the Stephen A. Smith when he comes in the Cowboys room. Like that's what I was aiming for, but I don't know if it translated really well. But yeah, so thanks for letting me come in. Sorry for hijacking. I feel like I hijacked a little bit, but I was excited and hyped about this episode.
Yeah,
Survivor is exciting.
It's so exciting. Good to see you, James. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, James.
Good to see you, man.
Okay.
You know what this vote reminded me of?
What?
I gotta say, this vote reminded me of, and like I saw it, and I don't think I've seen other people talk about it. I don't think we've seen a as impressive group of people being on the bottom pull something off like that since the mayor's Slamtown boot in David versus Goliath.
Wow.
The split minority vote there. Like, I think this is one of the most impressive underdog moves that we've seen in a while.
Yeah. It's Definitely game changing. Last episode or last recap that we talked about, I was hoping that something like this would happen so that it wasn't the underdog, big dog majority just kind of like steamroll off of everything. But there's so much to get into this episode because I feel like, I don't know, Jack, where we want to go, what you trying to do? Because I got a lot to say this episode.
Yeah, I'm pretty down to start whatever. The one thing I wanted to say, Bryce, is we've had this ongoing debate about don't text me on a Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
No, and you have, I think you corrected it. It's not an issue anymore. What I wanted to say is, to my whole point of like a mild spoiler was, I saw, I'm not on Twitter, but I think I saw like a screenshot of a Gordon Holmes tweet that was like before, it was like morning of the episode. Like this is the best episode of the new era. And to me, that's exactly kind of what I reference when I tell you, like, don't text me on a Wednesday.
So why you look at the tweet?
I didn't mean to look at it, but it was out there like the morning of. And so you see a tweet like that, it's like watching the episode. I know it's not going to be everyone votes for Sam. You kind of know that the crazy plan is going to work. And so that's what I mean when someone's like, oh, this episode is crazy. It sets this expectation and this precedent that something crazy is going to happen. So it's like less payoff when it does happen. So obviously that's not at you, that's at Gordon Holmes.
Oh, okay.
With that behavior, bro. But that's kind of what I mean with that. Like, I don't want to hear anything about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you broke your own rule, Jake. So can you help settle this beef real quick? If I text you often, and if I say, "Hey, Jake, how you doing today?" and I say, "Huh, it was a good episode last night," is that a spoiler?
I don't think that's a spoiler, right? Like, I don't think that's a spoiler.
Thank you.
Because, I mean, you could have said I think last week, right, the Kyle boot, that was probably the most boring episode of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just, like, I just, like, it was expected, right? Like, I felt like there was no shocker, intrigue there. Not that people didn't have great moments on the episode. I love Kyle. Like, it felt so true to his character, hugging everyone when he was walking out, right? But I would still say that's a good episode, even though I would definitively say I think that was the worst episode of the season, just because, like, Survivor, even when it's bad, it's good. Someone's like, how was the last episode? I'm just going to say, oh, yeah, it was good. I don't think that's a spoiler. Like, I think that's just something you said.
Say I'm on, like, Eastern time and you're on Pacific time, and I watch it on Eastern time, and then I text you, like, yo, this episode was crazy. And then you go to watch it, and you kind of have that in your mind. It's not a spoiler per se, but you'd rather not know that is all I'm saying.
Instead of being a spoiler, it's a sourer because now you're about to watch the episode, and now as you watch it, you understand, oh, my man just said it's a crazy episode. I'm watching crazy plans unfold. All right, something crazy is going to happen.
Exactly.
So
that's not Bryce. You didn't have.
I know.
So we're good, but
I'm just explaining to Jake. So at this point, Jake, I don't communicate with Jack on Wednesdays anymore, just for that reason. However, when you said that you were coming on the pod, I did text Jack and say, "Hey, Jake's coming." Jack was like, "Great." Then I apologized for texting him on a Wednesday. And do you know what so you get the whole beef, right? And then do you know what he proceeds to text me?
Jack, what did you say?
He said, I did hear from sources that tonight's episode is insane. Not Jack breaking his own rule and spoiling an episode for me.
I could be wrong. Didn't I text that after you had already seen the episode?
No, you text that to me at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the middle of the episode. So now my expectations for the episode, now I'm feeling spoiled.
You know what? Fair enough. Fair enough, honestly. Yeah, I mean, you guys were made up like towards the end of the episode, but that's fair. I shouldn't have texted that. And
Thank
but
you.
Obviously you're sort of, but you were allowed to text me on a Wednesday, just not about.
I don't text you.
If you have like an emergency, you're like, I need Jack's help, but I can't text him on a Wednesday.
Jack's gonna text Bryce on a Wednesday and discover that he's blocked on Wednesday.
But with that being said, it was a great episode. An unreal plan unfolded. Like Jake said, what some of the best play from the bottom that we've seen. Kind of confused how it worked. Like there were so many factors that could have deterred it from succeeding, but somehow it came together. I think that a huge thing is I think if Rachel hadn't won immunity, this plan probably doesn't shake out. because for Rachel, I don't think this is a bad episode for her because I don't think she really cares that much who goes home here, because now she has her pretty cut and dry final 3 with Sue and Teeny, which she dominate, and she also has an idol and a block vote. So at final 6, like as long as she plays her cards right, should be pretty smooth sailing. So it doesn't make sense for her to blow any of those advantages at a tribal where she can't go home, in my opinion. But there's so many layers to this. I just want to hear where you guys, like, what sticks out to you guys.
I got a question, Jack. You said it only works if Rachel wins immunity. Wasn't there a plan that if she didn't win, they would go for her with the same plan? Now, are you saying that you would have thought that she would have used one of her tools at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think she, she would have been on a little higher alert. I think she'd be the one to maybe catch on. Who knows, though? Who knows? But I think her winning made it easier. Also, you think about if Genevieve or Sam had won immunity, then there's no ability to split anymore, and the plan's kind of ruined. So I think there's a chance both of them intentionally did not win immunity to allow the plan to have some ability to work.
You think? Wait a minute. I don't think that's the truth. I think
that they would throw it.
Being the with
they're not. Yeah,
but also they're not trying. They're not going to purposely not win that. That's a difficult challenge, and you are the 2 at the very, 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 very bottom, and the 2 with a lot of eyes on you. You're still trying to win it. They're not probably.
Yeah.
They're going to lose that based off of this.
If it's as cut and dry as it seems, though, it's like, well, if you win this one, then and the other one goes home, then you pretty much have to win out.
Well, yes, but I cannot. I mean, I think I heard Sam say like it only works because we both lost, but I don't think there is any world where Sam and Genevieve, 2 very strong players, are like, you know what? Andy made a plan, and so we will lose. We will purposely lose immunity today for it. Now, I think Rachel's that good. I think she was that good and won it.
Yeah,
I think like throwing a challenge is so much easier said than done, because like when you're there and like you feel like the pressure on. It's like even if you like what you're saying, it would probably be smart of them to both throw this in a certain sense, right? But to be there and make the active decision that I'm gonna like I know like the only like there wasn't a throw in my season, but I remember like Drew and Austin at the Brando vote was like, I don't care if we win, but like that to make the active decision is like, I'm gonna sandbag this one, especially when like, do you want to look back and be like, I could have put my all into that? Like I would have a really tough time like being in the moment and thinking like living with that guilt. But I do agree that like
totally.
Yeah, if one of them win immunity, one of them's going home.
Yeah, that was less to say that I think they threw it, and more just that if one of them wins, maybe the plan doesn't work out, and so
yeah, I agree.
It could be in the back of their mind. We also have, Sue has her idol; she's thinking about playing it.
Does anyone else have an idol other than Caroline?
No,
I don't think so.
And sometimes I wonder if Sue remembered that she even got an idol because she, yeah. But can we talk about Sam and Teeny real quick, right? And let's add Genevieve into it, right? Because Teeny, this episode, very emotional, right? Teeny put the switch.
Best episode.
But it's interesting, right? Because can relate. In similar situations. But earlier in the episode, we see Teeny and Genevieve talking. And I think that this is important to keep in mind because at this point, Sam and Genevieve, they stuck together, glue. Like we at the bottom, we got to figure something out. Genevieve, also, she scares me because Genevieve's like, dog with the tail between her head. And she is piling it on, telling everybody, listen, I'm sorry. I'm at the bottom. I'm stuck. Then we get a confessional from her saying, like, listen, if I need to be a sad puppy right now, that's what I'm going to do. I'm like, damn, Genevieve. Like, I don't know if I could trust Genevieve. I never know. Anyway, her and Teeny are talking, and they kind of get into this fight a little bit where Genevieve's like, I forget the essence of it, but essentially like, you think you can win against Rachel? Like, you asking me, I'm telling you. And Teeny gets upset at that. However, that conversation for me reveals a lot, right? Like it reveals that, like, okay, well, you're getting mad at me. We still not working together. So that's one. Two, Sam wins. Sam picks Genevieve and he picks Andy. Teeny is pissed, right? Like rightfully so. It's the loved one's letter. And Teeny is pissed. But in my opinion, I'm like, Teeny, you had that conversation with Genevieve, right? Like you're not working with her. So why would they want to explore their options, right?
Yeah.
So what's going on here? Now, Sam had me cracking up because Andy fell for the okie doke. Sam kept saying, like, I'm a man of my word. I'm going to keep my word. I was thinking about this at the beginning of the challenge. I'm taking Andy. Bro, you ain't know you was going to win the challenge. You ain't won the challenge all season. So it's very clear he's wooing Andy over. And mind you, Andy, like me, fell for it, okay? You get that text at 1:32 a.m. You up? Hey, Jackie. And so that just was interesting. But I also have to say, when Teeny was doing her impression of Sam, it low-key was kind of funny though. But I really feel like Teeny losing her cool is like, oh, hard. That's going to be hard to recover from working with everyone else.
Yeah,
that's tough, and I feel for them, right? Because like, especially like with Teeny, like seeing them talk about certain situations like in the game, like I felt like when I was playing, like I got the rug pulled out for me a couple times. You know, you're made to feel stupid. You know, not that anyone's doing it intentionally, right? But when you're blindsided, it's like, damn, how did I not see that? You know, and that's happened to Teeny a few times, and like I understand Genevieve has done that a few times to her. Like for Genevieve's game, nothing, you know, personal, but you do feel dumb, you know, it makes it, I think, and Teeny's probably feeling this to a certain extent. Like when things were happening like that to me, I'm like, shit, it's bringing you back to high school being like, oh yeah, you're stupid or whatever. And so like that anger, like I completely get that. Like Drew and I got in a fight because I'm like, dude, I'm not going to feel stupid about this. Like get away from me. You know what I mean? And it's not that I don't love Drew. Like Drew's a great guy and he's a good friend, but I understand where Teeny's coming from in that, you know, because in a certain sense, to get to the end of Survivor and then win, someone has to say this person dominated these other two people who were sitting there next to them, right? And when you feel that slipping away from you, that's infuriating, you know. That's gonna bring up some certain emotions, and I appreciate how raw Teeny is, but yeah, that is gonna be a difficult recovery because it's easy to, you know, someone gets mad or upset. It's easy to be like, oh, they're angry, they're losing their minds, you know?
Right. And I also feel like we know this Andy move that happens. And it's a huge move, right? Like, you know, who would just want to go with this 5 and railroad everyone else? Like, if you could make this move, this could be $1 million move. I feel like what Andy just did. And a part of me also feels like maybe some of Teeny's anger is that, like, shoot, I should have been the one to work with these two to make a move like that.
Well, she was angry after the challenge, right?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of the anger just seemed like, you know, it's the same reason why we're like, yo, why is Sam a threat? Because Sam is a handsome, strong, charismatic guy out there right now. It's like, he's been outside of a lot. He's been on the bottom of a lot. And like, but his mere existence out there is why he's a threat. And it seemed like we heard Teeny kind of saying that, like this all-American quarterback, whatever it just seemed like Teeny was just upset at this person. And granted, he didn't bring Teeny with him, but I don't know. I just feel like, but also Teeny has been trying to do like an all women's alliance for a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't think that has ever gotten much traction, despite them then going back and saying, oh, we're going to do this. I don't know. I feel like they went off on this guy, Sam, for more things than just Sam not bringing them on this reward.
Definitely. I think there's a lot of pent up frustration. I mean, Teeny's game has been really up and down, never finding themselves like really in the driver's seat quite, I would say. And then something like this happens, easy to crash out a little bit. Probably reminds. I don't want to psychoanalyze, but I'm sure maybe it seems like Teeny might have had issues with the jock in high school, right? And we've seen it with other people this season, reminiscing on those high school feelings. If you're out there and emotions are raw, like things with memories like that can come up. But I mean, I did think it was not a good look for Teeny. I still am a Teeny fan for sure. Everyone, I mean, people coming with too much vitriol for Teeny online. It wasn't great, but it's like it's human, It wasn't super malicious. But I also thought with the Genevieve thing, it just started the episode off on a crazy foot, just being like, so you're saying if I was at the end with Rachel, like, you might not vote for me? And Genevieve was like, that's correct. And then she's like, is that a threat? And it's like, no, Genevieve just answered your question. Like, what do you mean? Like, and they're just being honest with you. So,
but I can relate to Teeny in that moment though, right? So if you got friction, if I'm in a fight with Wendell and I'm like, we're fighting, and I'm like, well, Wendell, what time you picking me up? What time you picking me up?
I'm not.
What time is you picking me up? Just give me a time.
6 p.m.
Oh, so 6 p.m. work for you. You ain't even asked me. Like, you know what I mean? Like I see where I can relate to Teeny in that moment where it's just like any answer that you give. But I also was cracking up when Teeny was like, did you just threaten me? Like, what's up? Like,
you know what? There was a point on Ghost Island when Donathan, I think, did that to me. He was like, yo, if you're sitting at the end with Dom, I'm voting for him. And I was like, oh. He ended up voting for me, though, so that's what's up. But he did hit me with that. I was like, I didn't know how to take it.
And it was funny that Genevieve immediately following that up with like, Teeny, sometimes you really weaponize your emotions. It's just kind of like, I wish we saw a little bit more of the fallout of that, because it kind of just cuts to Teeny being like, huh?
I love, I feel like I was talking to someone the other day, yesterday, like the flexibility, right? I really feel like in the new era, you have to be flexible. And I really feel like this plan, what was it? Olive Garden. Yeah, Italy? Operation Olive Garden, Italy. With Sam and Andy, right? Like, I feel like Andy was wooed over. Like, Sam was like, hey, bro, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. And he's like, oh, I love this. I'm back in the good graces. And I really feel like it's them both being super flexible, right? Like, to make this happen. And I feel like in this new era, you have to be flexible. And so Andy coming up with this mastermind game. I love the way Andy narrates, right? Like, he just sounds like just this super smart kid that if I was in 7th grade, I would absolutely be cheating off of his math test. But like, the way the plan itself is like, okay, it could work. But the way Andy then describes it, I'm like, is this going to be too complicated? Like, I'm nervous that it's not going to work. And then they're like, we're going to have to stay up all night and work on it. And you just see like the clips of them up at night. But I love the fact that Andy recognizes. Last week, Genevieve was like, why are we bringing people like Andy around? He's taking up seats. So this week, where I really think that might have resonated with Andy. And Andy's like, you know what? We only got a week left. I need to let people know who Andy is. And perfect storm, because this could be a $1 million loss or a $1 million gain. I really think that Andy, in this situation, with me personally, this could have won the game or it could have lost him the game. However, I think that this is probably the biggest move of this season. And whether he wins or not, he will go down with, like, you think of Jesse and Jesse's season. I really think you're going to think of Andy with this season. And I think that, like, the risk was greater than the reward, or
the reward was greater than the risk.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
No, it's where he was at in that alliance of 5. It was not looking like he was kind of on the bottom, and he kind of didn't have the strongest resume compared to like a Caroline or a Rachel. So, this move, I don't know how it's going to shake out. There's a chance Andy goes next, but I like him taking the big swing because it puts him in a position where he kind of takes the ball in his court, and now he's able to kind of mold his path to the end and maybe get a win, as opposed to maybe he goes farther but has less of a chance. So
I got a question. You're saying like there's a chance he goes next. I'm trying to put Andy, as far as like the threats that are remaining, I'm trying to figure out where to put him after this big move. So like before this move, I don't think they were looking at him as a threat.
Mhm.
And I think Caroline's exit press, there was some stuff that she said that made me really think that. I think what she said with on RHAP was essentially, you know what, we kind of wanted Andy to lay out the numbers. We went with him because we understood that he needed something.
Yeah.
So like if people there are looking at him like, you know what, he's not the biggest threat or the biggest whatever threat after a move like this. Now I'm wondering where's Sam, where's Genevieve, where's Rachel even compared to an Andy, so that, you know, next week Andy might have just made this huge move, but they might still be like, nah, we need Rachel first, or we need.
I don't think that.
Go ahead.
I think my opinion after this episode, right? Andy just kind of like he broke the house down, right? They had a house, it's broken down. And I think him swinging over to the other side, I think that there will be other people, i.e. Teeny, maybe even Sue, that are like, wait a minute, maybe the biggest threats wasn't really Genevieve and Sam, with Rachel winning this second immunity in a row. I think that people are going to be like, is Rachel. I think the pendulum is about to swing, and I think that they're going to get momentum on the other side, and I think it's going to be like they're going to target a Rachel and potentially have like Andy as the next person to get. But I definitely think that they are the underdog big dogs are rethinking the threat levels.
I kind of think that Rachel, Teeny, and Sue is still going to be a really solid block. Rachel didn't really do anything this episode to change Teeny or Sue's perception of her, I feel like, right? Rachel was out of the vote. I mean, won immunity, but still out of the vote. Andy, I think, and now that three, they have a block vote, they have two idols, they can make a pretty straightforward final six vote. But it's a good question, like, who would the target be? I still think they go for Sam and Genevieve just because they have this, like, preconceived notion of them being threats. And obviously, Teeny's not a big Sam or Genevieve enthusiast at this point. But I do think that Andy, I think he's going to be able to weasel his way to like 4 and then maybe get into that final 3. Because I still think Sam and Genevieve, because now it's like if Sam or Genevieve get to the end, they're sort of like, they sort of spoken into existence that they're threats, even though, I mean, Sam, for instance, got a lot.
In terms of threats, like in my mind, like, I think, you know, you can argue like a Rachel versus Genevieve, but I think Rachel and Genevieve are tier 1.
Yeah.
Sam and Andy are probably tier 2. And then, you know, Teeny and Sue have a long uphill battle to win this thing at this point. And I think, honestly, I was so happy for Andy this week, just like how rough he is. I felt like he's had such like, you know, my own journey or like Owen journey of just like, and we saw it last week killed me. Like when Genevieve said, oh yeah, everyone's just saving space for Andy and Sue. And so it's like, oh damn, they're still looking at him that way. And that was like really disappointing because it seems like even ever since episode 1, he just couldn't get this stink off of him. And then to see the jury, yo, that was Andy. That was like, I felt so happy for him because like I don't think if he goes with that 5, and we saw it today with we're gonna do the girls thing and we can have our 4. He was gonna go with 5, and even if he wins an immunity, they're probably looking to take him out at 4 anyway.
You know what scared me?
To the end as a go. He needed this. He needed this to what?
No, go ahead. Sorry, I was just.
Oh, it elevated him, Jake. Jake, you said he needed this to
he
put
needed
him.
it. If he was gonna win, he needed this. So regardless if it works out or not, he needed this to win. Yeah, if he stays with the girls, he might have went farther. He might go farther. He might have a stronger likelihood of going farther. But this absolutely increased. He needed to make this move.
Yeah. My concern though is that.
You know, because he doesn't want to go to the end and get 0 votes. Like no one wants to go to the end and lose, and he recognizes that. And honestly, the catharsis of watching him was awesome because I'm like, damn, like I hope he's in it. I hope he's in it now, and we're gonna have to see like what other people say about this after. But I think instead of being in that tier 3, I think Andy's definitely in that tier 2.
The thing that scared me though with that when you brought up the jury. They didn't say it was Andy. They said Andy flipped again.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that like, and when for me, I read is like the mother effer flipped on
He's a
me,
snake.
and now he like I
Flipping
I
all
was
over the
worried of
place.
the way I don't know if it was Gabe or Saul said that.
Saul,
Like,
I think.
yeah.
That's why I was gonna say the same thing, Bryce. Andy's making great moves, but I don't think the jury really just has like that much respect for him. So I'm worried he's gonna get to the end with a great resume, and there's gonna be like, dude, like
there's still that threat. But if he didn't do that, this vote, like what are his odds of win? Like maybe his odds before this were like 5%. At least he raises to 15. Is that great? No, but like I think that definitely raises his odds doing this.
100%.
And you know, if he can look Caroline on the jury and be like, "Were you really going to take me?" She could lie, but like she wasn't going to take him.
So it's like he's doing what he has to do. But the jury, like they look like, man, this snake is flipping all over the place. But if Andy's sitting at the end, and we've seen Andy get in these confessionals and lay a plan out, or sometimes Monday morning quarterback and whatever, but we've seen him get in there, be very lucid and clear with a plan. If my man can get to, if Bryce's man can get to the end and lay it out, hey, I had to flip here, and that's why you're sitting there. I'm sorry. Hey, I know you weren't going to take me here. That's why I'm sorry. Hey, you were closer with Sam. I had to take you out here. Like, if he lays all this out, there is a world where Andy gets votes at the end, gets the respect votes at the end.
Yeah.
Maybe not the win, but the respect votes.
I think you can't say that. Like, I think a difficulty of getting a final travel, you can't say that you did something for your resume. I think people, and I might be wrong, but I think juries hate that argument. Oh, I just did this for resume. Yeah. That can't be the excuse. It's got to be for position, not resume. Enhancing your position is the resume, not vice versa. You know?
Right.
So
right.
I think, I agree. Sorry.
Last night's move was a big resume move, but it was like, hey, I was at the bottom of this 5. I just flipped, got rid of one of them. Now it's 3-3. That's a smart game move, not just a resume booster. And all of his vote outs have been like flipping back and forth, but with not for a resume, but with logic behind it.
Yeah. The thing that scares me with Andy now, right, is because I really feel like Teeny will go with the numbers. I feel like Andy could get Teeny, and it'd be Teeny, Genevieve, and Sam. The thing that now scares me, because I'm pissed. They got my girl Caroline out, right? Who was Caroline most closest to? Sue. Who has an idol? Sue. If Sue now transfers that mother-daughter love to Rachel, then they would have 2 idols. They would have a block of mock. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really feel like now Sue is going to like bend the knee to Rachel, and no one knows about, like, I feel like it's about to get spooky.
Yeah.
Right. Remember how angry she was at Kyle because Kyle said Gabe's name or something? Like, and so here's the thing. In Sue's case, this side is loaded. I will bet good money that one of the 3 that just played this big move is going home the next episode. Like,
I agree.
Because they got, not only is it 3-3 right now, whatever, even if they flip Teeny, whatever, 3-3, 2 idols, block a vote. And Rachel is good at winning these challenges. Like, they are going to find a way with all of their artillery to fight back what we just saw.
I think the next 2 votes will be one of 2
very
of those.
Easily.
Yeah.
However, I was saying this last week, but we always put the emphasis on, obviously in Survivor, there's only one winner, right? However, I feel like we don't put enough emphasis on people's placement, right? Like, so regardless of whoever gets sniped next week, if it's Rachel, if it's Genevieve, if it's Sam, right? Like, they extended their life. Way beyond than what we expected. And so that is much like, just respect.
And the big value too is that inevitably one of them will be at the final 4 and will have a chance to make fire and will have their chance to make it to the final 3, which if they didn't make a move like that, it's not guaranteed, because then there's a good chance there's a Rachel, Sue, Caroline final 3 or something like that, where at least Andy now, like you said, they might go home in this window, but at least the one of them that can get to that 4 potentially will have a fighting chance. So you go from maybe dead in the water to, a glimmer of hope. So
I do think too is that if we got the side with all the advantages, I think depending on who wins immunity, I think any of those 3 win immunity. I think this is good for Andy, because I don't. Do you go after Andy there? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But I feel like Sue gonna want to go after Andy. Like I feel like Sue is.
Sue may be going after Andy.
Oh
Sue
yeah,
may be going after Andy.
Okay, so in that case, if she's the one vote for Andy, now numbers can be.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's a testament to show of like how much, I guess, your personality and how people perceive it affects your respect. Because like, you know, Sam is probably still going to be a bigger target than Andy, and Andy, in a sense, has really been running the show a little bit in terms of the moves. Sam, I think by his own admission, hasn't had a lot of footing after the merge. But because Sam has so much charisma and people view Andy as kind of a rat, like Sam is still a bigger threat than Andy. So it's kind of like you just got to make sure people respect you as sort of first and foremost for a chance to win. Because Andy's doing everything right, and he might get to the end doing everything right, still lose because people just don't view him as a winner, I suppose.
Question: if either Genevieve and Sam are at the end, just doesn't matter the operation or whoever they're sitting next to, can they claim this move as theirs?
Yeah,
somewhat.
I think so. Yeah, they can claim it because, like, I think people have been sorry.
No, I just want him to clarify. Like, if Andy is not sitting there, also, it's just
or I guess my question might be like, this was Andy's move. Do you get the sense that, say, Andy was at the end and described this move, right? Like, we saw how the jury received it. I don't think they would like it, but have Genevieve or Sam say their part in it, I think people might be like, no, like, so is Andy just damned if he does, damned if he don't?
Somewhat, not fully, but like
potentially.
People don't. I don't think the jury wants to root for Andy, and so I think he want to
root for him.
And I think he's got that certain self-awareness of like he needs to improve his position. He needs to gain some respect. He's trying to do that. It might be too little, too late, but at least he's like going for it. But yeah, it might just be the thing where it's like, oh, he makes all these great moves, and the jury's going to think what they want to think. So if they're like, we haven't respected Andy from day one because of that breakdown, like all your big moves, which were great moves, are like just you being a weasel and like scurrying around. But if Sam were to do all those moves, they'd be like, hell of a game, Sam. Like, but that's just
because of how he started, and that's a shame because like man, he started about as bad as you can, but he has been weaseling and maneuvering and wheeling and dealing his way to get to where he is, and that was a huge move and a great idea that they executed perfectly. I mean, the stars aligned for it, but man, for you to fall so hard on your face episode 1 and for them to be so like that's how they view you, and that is clearly how they've continued to view him all the way up to this point. I hope for his sake that like whether it's him convincing them or what, like I hope they start giving him some credit. And even in my case, like I've been looking at him some type of way all season because of how he started. And Bryce has been riding for him all season. But like I gotta respect that move big time.
Yeah.
What it was. Like y'all said, he dropped a bomb. He dropped a bomb. He took it from a 5-2 to a 3-3. He got rid of Sue's number 1. That could have been the tightest group. Like,
you gonna put some respect on Caroline's name. She wasn't just Sue's number 1. In my opinion, because let's talk about it. Why didn't they target Sue? Why they didn't target a Teeny? Yeah. Why they targeted Caroline? Because
Caroline was playing a great game.
Yeah,
I'm not putting disrespect on her name.
Oh, okay.
You should say I guess split them up. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well,
okay. Geez.
Didn't say Caroline could have been the winner, not Sue's right hand man. We don't know.
Why you getting so hype at me?
Because I'm just saying, I feel like them sending Caroline home, in my opinion, is letting us know her threat level.
Yeah.
And the potential of if she were to get at the end, sweet old Caroline could talk some talk, and depending on who she's sitting next to. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah. I think. Can I throw? I think I know like a great argument for Andy. I don't know if you can get the respect, but if I'm Andy, right, and the view is I'm a flipper, right? If I'm Andy, and this is, for lack of a better analogy, I'm going to make this not political, but use the political lens. If Andy's going to go to another alliance and just be automatically on the bottom just based how they viewed him. Why doesn't he keep flipping and knock off the ends? Like, let's say you're an independent runner for president and like we're in the game of Survivor. I don't know. This is a terrible analogy, but see if you catch this. Like, if I go take out Donald Trump and then I turn to the other side, take out Kamala Harris, then I go JD Vance, and then I go Tim Walz, and you end up with the dude in the middle, no one was going to accept him at the top and give him the respect for that. So what do you got to do? You got to make your own thing in the middle. I feel like if he whittles it down and be like, this is all I could do given my position. Yeah. I feel like he has like a strategic argument. It's just like, can he get the respect? It's just so difficult, you know?
I also wonder the other side that he's with now, they'll be like, you weren't at the bottom. I feel like that they would like spit that back at him. They're like, you weren't at the bottom. You were leading us. But yeah.
And then he'll say, hey, jurors, you know exactly where I was. Everyone on this island knew where I was. I think, Jake, that's a good point. Like, if he sits there and says, look, this is what I had to do. I saw people over there leading stuff. I had to jump over here to get this one, jump over there to get this one, to where, like, do y'all see me now type of thing.
Yeah. No, he's very self-aware of his position and like knows, I think, somewhat how he's perceived and like what he has to do. And it's just gonna boil it down. Like you said, that argument's great. Like, he's in this bad position, so his move is just go all out and like attack, which is what he's been doing. It's just boiled down.
Can he beat Sue and Teeny? If he can get to the end with Sue and Teeny?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
I think that's the ideal combo. I think there's a chance. You know, if you could take out Rachel and like fire, then I think he's got a. I think the jury would begrudgingly have to vote for Andy. Like I don't think they really like or respect Andy a ton. Like they people want to vote for the person they like really see as the winner. Andy, I think, would be like, okay, well, Teeny was kind of a mess, like just all over the place strategically. Sue was kind of in the passenger seat, and then they'd be like, at least Andy was like going and cooking stuff up, and like maybe he was kind of all over the place from their view, but he was going for it, and like. I would give my vote to Andy there.
I would need Andy to be at the final, and I would need like him almost not yelling at the jury, but him almost like, like I would need like a rough and tough Andy, like, yo, like I saw how y'all was looking at me when I said I needed it all. Y'all thought I needed it all, but where am I at now? When I took out, like, you know what I mean? Like, I would want him to like talk ish, because like I feel like that's the only way that they're going to respect him, because I feel like if he just says like what he says like regular Andy, they're going to be like,
no, I think he'd turn up. He just would have to make sure he's not coming across like too cocky. But I think in that final three, because Teeny would probably be like Genevieve was threatening me and Sam like didn't bring me on the reward, and everyone would be like, what are you talking about? Sue would be like, I got Kyle out. And everyone would be like, cool.
Like, listen, as long as she wanted him out, that I mean, they might respect that. Can we
imagine this arc? Andy getting upset that they clap for someone else and not him for opening a coconut, and now he gets the end, wins the game, and has them all clapping for him as the winner.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I do think he does need a there's definitely thread in the needle there. You can't come off and be like, I kicked everyone's ass, but like, guys, I needed to do what I needed to do, and I did have to take you out. You were a problem for me, and like, just if he can be a little assertive, because like he doesn't come across that way when he's talking to people. But I think he does need if he gets to final tribal, he needs to command a little bit more attention.
But he also like threading the needle is great because he also needs to come super humble in a way. Because like, we've seen him on the jury.
Weird combo.
We've seen him talking to the jury, being like, I lied to all of their faces, and now they're gone, and they're all sort of like, get out of here. But you need to represent that, but also be like, but like I'm chill. But like,
do.
Yeah. Because I'm worried he'd come in and be like, I was the mastermind, and then everyone's like, dude,
not gonna like that. Yeah. But if you're like whomever, Gabe, I had to flip to get you out. You were becoming a problem. You weren't giving me the respect in the game, and then like you were becoming a block for the things I want to do, or insert whomever here. Yeah. You know, not a mastermind, but doing what you got to do. And he's like, hey, I feel strongly about this.
From what we've seen from him, too, it's like he really could go either way, I think. Like, he has that in his bag, but he also could just pull up and just start talking a lot of ish and just be like,
yeah. I will say, like, that's tough to do because, like, you know, you're also, like, I don't know, when you're preparing for final tribal, you're ready to make your point, when you try to be ready to make your point, but you're also like thinking about, oh, what are people going to come in negative? You also prepare for the negativity as well that could potentially come your way. So it's just, if he can like put that and compartmentalize that and still be assertive over on top of that, I think he can do it.
Yeah, this could be one
in that combo.
Can we talk about something that's been racking my mind for the last 3 episodes? And this episode, I believe I figured out.
Are you talking about Sue's? No, go ahead.
I'm just trying to figure out what the hell be on Sue's face every episode, right? But at this point, I am convinced she is using a mud foundation and contouring because it make her look a little younger. So like, you know, it kind of defines her face a little bit. And at this point, I am sure that she is getting a little mud and contouring her face.
I think that's because also we saw her hilariously be like, Caroline, you got some dirt on your face. She's got to be aware then that like if you're gonna point it out on someone else, like maybe she's aware like, oh well, mine is this is Fenty, you know. I'm doing
I heard Caroline explained that too. She said that Sue did a lot of tending to the fire and would get a lot of like charcoal on her face, and they would tell her about it, and she got to the point where like she was getting a lot of it off, but still that's just what it was. Yeah.
The thing I'm with this move, a couple of things we haven't talked about. I'm still kind of confused how it works out. I think there was a lot of complacency from, Teeny, for instance. The two things are I guess they don't view Andy with a lot of respect, where maybe they think he's going to make this move. But he was pushing really hard to split this vote, and to me, that's a red flag for sure. The other thing is, and I guess we understand, from Caroline's perspective, she wanted to give Andy some room to work, to feel good about himself. Like I can respect that, but I guess Rachel might have been the one who could put a stop to it, and she probably just didn't really care because she's in a good spot. But then also, so that was weird to me. Like, if you think about, if I'm sitting in that 5 and I'm thinking about how could this go wrong, it would be Andy moves and shakes, and what would he have to do that? Get us to split the vote, him be in the majority and flip. And then when he's like, hey, I think we should split the vote and I should be in the majority, I'd be like, all right, something's up.
That's what Andy needs to say at the end. Like, that's something that he needs to talk about. Like how, like that's something that he needs to. I split the vote.
Yeah, I don't really know how it worked, but props to Andy. The other thing that confused me, and the other thing is when Genevieve told Teeny about this fake idol, and they just put Teeny in the blender. There's some layers to it, so I don't really know. But ultimately, I think Teeny, you've openly been kind of against these two. Why would you be the one that they tell and then be like, just keep the votes on me? Like, you have to know that that's suspicious. Like, what?
Right. But this is why I love Teeny, though, because, again, Teeny reminds me of me. Because although she might be mad at Genevieve, although Genevieve might have threatened her, what does Teeny say? Right. Teeny said, play the idol. They come up for you, play the idol, and hugs her. Like, it's like Teeny is a lover at the end of the day. Like, no matter what goes back and forth with her and Genevieve, like, she still is rooting for her. And I think that is what makes Teeny so upset when she gets played, is because it's like, me with men, time and time again, I believe what they say and all of this, and then I'm just left by myself. So it's like I physically can see what Teeny is going through, because it's like,
I don't know if that came from a place of love, though. That seemed like her trying to flush the idol out.
Yeah. Yeah, but also I felt like it was kind of like, oh, you're trusting me with this, like, they're coming for you, play it.
But also knowing that Sam is the other target.
Well, so right, she wanted Sam
the whole time anyway, so she's like, yeah, play that. Yeah.
Also, if Teeny has an issue with anybody this episode, if I'm Teeny, it would be the effing producers, because I like the amount of gold that Teeny was giving the producers, and you can know that the producers was probably just like chiming it up to Teeny. Teeny's like, he the death of Kiss. She got the idol. He's going home. Yes. Oh, how was you want me to say it again? Ha ha ha. Your last supper. Oh, say it different. Sam, your last supper. Give it a little more emphasis, Teeny. Your last supper, Sam. See you later. Like the way that they was coaching Teeny up. If Teeny is mad at anybody, it's F them producers, Teeny, because they set her up. Like, oh, because she was giving them gold. Like gold.
Yeah.
And then I also like, go ahead.
I feel like I feel like we got a scary soundbite from Caroline also, where she was like, "I see the end." Like, I'm in a good spot. Like, we got a lot of kiss of deaths from Caroline this episode too.
Also, let's give Sue her credit, because although Sue might be in the passenger seat of what y'all say, if this is a 13-hour drive, Sue is that passenger that is staying up. She is alert. She's watching out, because the second she thought it might have been Caroline, Sue was like, I'll play my idol for you. If I get a whiff of it, like, I don't care nobody say. I love Sue's loyalty. Like, Sue's, no, I don't think. Go ahead.
It's loyal. It's like Sue was in the passenger seat. It was like, if I see any accidents, I'll keep my eyes. And she's like looking at Caroline, and then the accident's right in front of them, and they just smack into it. And she's like, if I see it, I'll tell you. It's like, she would let you know, but she's just not really. Her 45-year-old eyes aren't so keen these days.
It's her reflexes.
I'm mud in the way. But
I think Sue's a really interesting person, right? Because, like, I mean, we haven't been shown like a lot of stuff showing that Sue could potentially win. But like, I'm watching Sue and I'm like, if Sue was on Reba in season 45 of Survivor, Sue would be fine. She would be in a great position. We'd be talking about how she's doing. It's just unfortunate because I see her game in this season I don't think it's working for the people who are currently there, Yeah.
Can I talk about me? Oh, go ahead. Now let's.
I was going to say, is there a world where who casted the final vote for you to win $1 million?
Laurel.
Is there a world where like she's giving me Laurel energy and a little bit of like, there are plenty of times Laurel could have made moves to turn on people. Like, I'm just saying, like, Tsunami is loyal, and that's a good trait. And I just respect Sue a lot. And
yes,
I'm not a Laurel.
There's got to be enough people on the beach that like value that as well. When less people value that, it's not as gonna be. It's gonna be not as useful. I think in another season, Sue's a lot more effective than we've seen on Survivor 47. I just don't think it's clicking with this group of people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to make note of is right at the end, after the vote, when this acting is like chef's kiss, and you have Sam look over at Genevieve like, Genevieve, play it. And she's like, no, I'm good. And you got people looking at them like, oh, we go flush this idol, we go split this vote. Because if they're not acting right then the others could pull out an idol thinking something fishy's going on. But this act is extending to right before Jeff reads the votes. He's like, play it. She's like, no, I think we're good. And then you start watching it all happen. I'm like, yo, this was a plan perfectly executed to, like she said, the last minute.
Yeah.
And now, do they all still think that Genevieve's holding on to an idol going into next week? Like, there's never been a more effective fake idol, has there?
That's something because like I said, the other side has all this artillery.
Yeah.
But now she has an idol too. Woo!
Yeah.
She's gonna flush everything, just hopefully not herself.
And if one of those people win immunity,
yo,
that could be crazy.
That would be crazy.
Could we get advantage getting like advantage getting next week?
That would be something. I mean, it's finale part 1. Do we think one person or 2 people are going home next week?
I think 2.
I think 2 because it's 2 hours.
Wow.
Shout
out to Caroline. Caroline was a great player, and Like we got the chance to meet her a few times. Caroline is dope. She was a different player, and I think she was hanging in a position where she was in striking distance. Like this could have been her game.
Yeah. Yeah, she never got a ton of screen time necessarily or made any huge moves, but I think everybody watching knew she was a really solid player and also just seemed like a great person, like a great ally in the game. So just the victim of a crazy vote, and without that, I mean, great chance Caroline, takes it all the way, I think. So
I think Caroline's an interesting person too, because after Survivor strikes TV gold, they'll say, with someone on TV, right? Like, there were a million Russell and Tony knockoffs, right? Like, not saying Carolina people are knockoffs, but like, you know what I mean? They try to like recreate what they got. Like Carolyn, like you could point to like a Kendra or a Kenzie trying to like get that magic of Carolyn back. I think the intention with Caroline specifically was to try to recapture some of the magic of Emily, right? Like there was definitely like in the early preseason interview, I was like, oh, they're trying to, you know what I mean? They're just trying to, but it's been really pleasant because Emily's a great player. Caroline is clearly a great player. And it's been fun to see the differences in their games. And like, I've really enjoyed watching the differences between them, where I think maybe casting's intention was to do a similar thing. Does that make sense? Do you guys like see that?
No, 1,000%.
And it's so cool to watch Caroline this season. I think she played such an amazing game. I think for her, the Gabe move may have happened 1 week too early, but I appreciate what she was trying to do this week in terms of placating Andy. Unfortunately, it didn't work out.
And if I have to get voted out, I want it to be by the biggest blindside of the season. Like, if I gotta go, take me out like that.
Yeah.
In a season of blindsides, that was the biggest.
Yeah, I don't normally watch the trailer for next week, but the trailer for next week looks absolutely insane. And the fact that we have this Genevieve Rachel battle of the lady sheroes, right? Like it's like you got the different versions of like who can actually take. I love it. I've said this last week. I think so many times in Survivor we get these like macho men. Oh, it's Jeremy Collins versus Dominic Abate. It's like these big guys, and like I love the fact that like we have these ladies, like these sheroes, going to battle it out. I don't know about Netflix. I don't want no Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. I want to see the Rachel and Genevieve showdown. Sign me up. I'm here for it because, it's just so great.
Yeah.
I'm curious what they're going to do with this finale, this 2-hour finale part 1 too. Like it's something, I mean, it's basically just the penultimate episode, but it's a little bit longer. Might be a couple votes in there. So it's going to set the tempo for hopefully a fun end of the season.
Does it feel like, I don't know, like I feel like Rachel's not going home next week because of the Idol, right? I feel like the earliest we will see Rachel go is at 4.
Agree.
I don't like, she's just been so impressive. And like, even with her getting blindsided this week, we're all still kind of like, oh, she's all right. Didn't go her way at all, but she's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But
that's how I feel.
Here's another thing that we didn't talk about: the challenge. Right? First of all, did y'all see Sam with them ball? First of all, Sam with them 2 balls under that net, he was said like he killed it. But here's the thing that I want to talk about Rachel. Yeah, because he was
okay, Bryce. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay, Sam.
Okay, talk about.
Okay, sorry. Listen, y'all want to know why Sam's a threat? Okay, because I got some melons. Anyway, can we talk about the effortless or effortlessly? What's the word? Effortlessly, right?
Yes.
Rachel made that challenge effortlessly. Like I didn't see her sweat. I didn't see I was like, oh, like let me find out Rachel's been holding back that she's a beast in these challenges. Like it was so easy for her to do that. I could see Rachel going on an immunity win. Like just the way that she cooked everybody was kind of crazy.
Yeah, there's 3 challenges left. I could see Rachel winning 2 and playing her idol for a different one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she's going out to fight. Like, I think if Rachel can win and fight, I think she's in the final 3. I don't see how it changed. I don't see anything stopping her.
I can see Genevieve messing around and winning when she needs to next week. Okay, I can see Genevieve stepping up, whatever this next whatever vote is, because like you said, we're probably gonna get 2 votes. I could see her stepping up and winning one. I want to see these women like they're like it is like a heavyweight bout right now.
Yeah.
I think. I was just if I had to predict, I think it's gonna be Sam at 6, Genevieve at 5.
Yeah.
I think we might see Rachel and Andy in the final 3, just the way that they've built them up, and I want to see Andy. I think Rachel wins that, right? But I want to see Andy have to pitch that case. Maybe he gets a vote or 2 out of like a Sam. So then at 4, I mean, it comes down to fire, and you never know who's going to be in the fire. I would maybe imagine if I'd say maybe Teeny, or is Teeny or Sue? I think both could go. I guess, but we just heard Sue kind of tends to the fire, right? So we haven't never. Yeah, we don't really know who's gonna fire and who isn't. But just to call my shot, I'm gonna say Teeny at 4.
I feel like bookends. You know what I mean? Like we got that scene in episode 1 of Rachel and Andy. To go off your point, Jack, of Rachel and Andy being like, it would be such an interesting bookend if that's who's going up against each other in final.
Exactly. Yeah, I
see it because of the edit we've gotten from Andy. What I've been saying to people for like weeks is I think we're getting shown like these brighter moments of Andy's throughout the season. Now, granted, last episode was a tremendous moment for him, but I think they've been building him up all season, despite what like boots on the ground truly thinks of him. Like I did think that people thought of him as this, silly whatever. And I think they have been boosting him up because we will see him in the final. And I think, like Jack said, I think we're getting Rachel and I think we're getting Andy. I could see Rachel taking it, but I could see a world where Andy finds a couple votes.
Agree. But yeah, they've also been they've been building Andy up. We've been getting a lot of Andy, but there's not to get too into like edit stuff, but a lot of it's positive. A lot of it's a little negative, right? Like he makes this great move and then we see the jury being like, we see the jury right after the best move of the season. The jury's like, Andy's flipping again. Like,
but I will say the new era is full of complex winners. Like it's not like
right.
Look at Gabler. Look at Marianne. Like Marianne, she got some stuff. Oh, Marianne's like this or that, but she's a dominant player.
True.
Or
totally.
And
Gabler.
she won it in the final speech, and she won it at the final jury. Like, hey, Andy. Win it in the final speech.
For sure. I mean, and Andy winning would be, maybe the craziest arc of any winner, right? So I'm definitely here for it. It would just throw my mind in a blender, but it would be just a crazy storyline throughout the season. But we shall see. Rachel's definitely in a great spot. So
the last thing I'm gonna say is I believe Sue was gonna play her idol for Rachel at some point in time.
Because he's gonna get a red carpet into Final Tribal. He's like, hey, walk right this way. It's day 23. Yep, go to day 26.
Because this is what I'm saying. Right. No one's targeting Sue, right? Like I just feel like Sue is that motherly. She wants to protect. She tried it with Gabe, her last daughter, Caroline, and now all she has is Rachel, her stepdaughter, right? I really just feel like Sue is going to lay her life on the line and bequeath an idol to Rachel. Wow. I'm calling it.
I like that call, Bryce. I like that call.
That would be awesome. I hope that would be so cool to see.
And if that happens, Jake and Jack, I'm gonna text y'all Thursday morning. That I was right because I'm not going to touch on Wednesday.
Would also be a big
Wednesday. I don't care. That's Jack's thing.
Thank you, Jack.
So I also think interesting to that call out, Bryce, is Rachel's got a lot of moves on her resume right now that have kind of gone unseen so far, like playing her shot in the dark with her idol in her pocket, for example. I wonder if there's a world where Sue plays her idol for Rachel before Rachel even needs to play her own idol. Like maybe Sue at 6 is like, I'm gonna play my idol for you. Rachel plays it for Rachel. Rachel gets to play her own in that final 5. Probably. And that's another thing. It's like, oh, she could be like, oh, I just found this idol. I'm gonna play it at 5, keep everybody cool. Then you get to final tribal council. Oh, I had this the whole time, but Sue wanted to play hers for me too. So I just think Rachel's got a bunch of those little moves that it's such good new era Survivor because nobody knows about it. Yeah. But it's those things you can get to the final tribal council. No one knows about it. You drop a bomb, kind of like what D did, during 45. Yeah. It's really, it's just good. It's good gameplay. So hopefully Rachel, I think that's a great call just from the trajectory of the game, Bryce, but also would add so much flavor to potential win. So
yeah. And it's just like, I love the way Rachel has managed her threat level this whole game. And it's like she's just constantly been working from her backs against the wall. Even in situations where it's not, she still has that drive and keeping herself low. And I think that that's something that a lot of the new winners in this season do. So it's like potentially could she be somebody? But again, I want Rachel to win, but I want the Andy arc. If I'm calling it now. If Andy wins, I will get a tattoo on my left butt that says Andy because
that's some Toy Story shit.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna verify this tattoo of yours, Bryce.
You will go with me, Wendell.
I will not.
But that's how excited I would be for Andy because it's just like, whoo.
Would you really do that?
I would.
Damn, we're gonna have to hold you live on the podcast. Get that ass out.
You know what I want to say about Rachel real quick is that she does a great job of keeping cool under pressure. She's been under pressure at numerous points in the game. And, when you're fronted with, as a human being, hey, you might lose your opportunity for $1 million. Now keep a cool head. That's a tough position to be in. And Rachel's been in that position numerous times and is been able to act masterfully under pressure. And I just think it's wicked impressive what she's been able to do on numerous occasions.
Yeah. So we got Rachel and Andy as, I guess, potential frontrunners, but I also think going into these final episodes, a Genevieve or a Sam come from behind win would also be really fun to watch. So I think we're going to end up with someone in that final 3 that makes it really exciting, if not, multiple people. So,
and again, as much as I'm rooting for Andy and I'm rooting for Rachel, the arc of a Sam or a Genevieve after what we've seen the last 2, they could ride that wave, and it's like you see the jury, right? Like that might even get the jury a little more invested in a ride like that. So it really is anybody's game, but
jeez, it's such a good season.
Nobody wants to finish that.
Go ahead. Finish your sentence, Bryce. Anyone's game, but what?
It's anybody's game at this point.
But what's a rival?
But that's where I will get Andy's tattoo if he wins. But listen, let's just say this episode 12 was amazing. It's great. Jake, we can't thank you enough for stopping by and pulling up on us for the podcast this week. And in Boston, if you are around and listening, we have 2 more stops left on the Bryce and Wynn Tour 47 for part 1 of the finale. We'll be in Washington, D.C. December 11th, and all roads lead to the finale December 18th. We will be in Brooklyn, New York. We are having a welcome karaoke party on that Tuesday. Tickets are available on the Bryce and Wynn Present Instagram and Twitter. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Wendeezy. This has been your Survivor News.
It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better listen in public, might make your stomach hurt. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind, you better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to get your snack, you better hurry right back though. It's the Purple Pants. It's the Purple Pants.